1. Zero trust. Security model that assumes no user or device should be trusted by default, regardless of location. Never trust, always verify. The foundational principle that every access request must be authenticated and authorized. Implicit trust. The outdated assumption that internal network traffic is safe, which zero trust eliminates. 4. Explicit verification, requiring proof of identity and authorization for every resource, access attempt. 5. Least privilege access, granting users only the minimum permissions needed to perform their specific task. Assume breach, operating under the assumption that your network has already been compromised. Zero Trust Architecture, TSA, the overall design and framework for implementing Zero Trust principles. 8. Zero Trust Network Access, ZTNA, technology that provides secure remote access based on identity, not network location. Software-defined perimeter, SDP, architecture that creates invisible infrastructure accessible only to authorized users. 10. Microsegmentation, dividing a network into isolated segments to limit lateral movement. Macro-segmentation, separating large network zones like production from development. 12. Network segmentation, dividing a network into distinct zones with controlled access between them. 13. East-west traffic, network traffic moving laterally between servers within a data center. 14. North-south traffic, network traffic entering or leaving the network perimeter. 15. Lateral movement prevention, controls that stop attackers from moving between systems once inside. 16. Identity-first security, making identity verification the primary control plane for all access decisions. 17. Identity provider, IDP, service that creates, manages, and verifies digital identities. 18. Identity governance, policies and processes for managing who has access to what resources. 19. Identity and access management, IAM, framework for managing digital identities and their access rights. 20. Privileged access management, PAM, controls specifically for managing and monitoring privileged accounts. 21. Just-in-time access, JIT, granting elevated privileges only when needed and for a limited time. 22. Just enough access, JEA, providing only the specific permissions required for a particular task. 23. Adaptive access control, dynamically adjusting access permissions based on real-time risk assessment. Risk-based authentication, adjusting authentication requirements based on the risk level of each access attempt. 25. Step-up authentication, requiring additional verification when a user attempts a higher risk action. 26. Continuous authentication, ongoing verification of user identity throughout an entire session. 27. Continuous authorization, re-evaluating access permissions in real time as conditions change. 28. Session Trust Score, a dynamic rating of how trustworthy a current user session is. Context-aware access, making access decisions based on factors like location, device time, and behavior. Conditional access policy, rules that grant or deny access based on specific conditions being met. Policy Decision Point, PDP, the component that evaluates access requests against security policies. 32. Policy Enforcement Point, PEP, the component that enforces the access decision made by the PEP33. Policy engine, the system that processes access policies and determines whether to allow or deny access. 34. Policy administrator, the component that establishes and manages the communication path for access. And 5. Trust algorithm, the logic used to calculate the trust level of an access request. 36. Trust zone, a logical grouping of resources that share the same security requirements. Control plane, the zero trust decision-making layer that determines who gets access to what. So, data plane, the layer where actual data transmission occurs after access is granted. Multi-factor authentication, MFA, requiring 2 or more verification methods before granting access. Passwordless authentication, verifying identity without traditional passwords using biometrics or tokens. FIDO2, open authentication standard, enabling passwordless login using security keys or biometrics. 42. Phishing-resistant MFA, authentication methods that cannot be compromised through phishing attacks. 43. Single sign-on, SSO, allowing users to authenticate once and access multiple applications. 4. Federated identity, linking identity across multiple systems and organizations. Security assertion, markup language, say ML, standard for exchanging authentication data between identity providers. OAuth 2.0, authorization framework for granting limited access to resources without sharing credentials. OpenID Connect, OIDC, identity layer built on OAuth 2.0 for verifying user identity. 48. Device trust, evaluating the security posture of a device before granting access. Device health attestation, verifying that a device meets security requirements before allowing access. 50. Endpoint detection and response, EDR, tools that monitor endpoints for threats and enable rapid response. 51. Mobile device management, MDM, platform for managing and securing mobile devices accessing resources. Unified endpoint management, UEM, comprehensive management of all endpoint types from a single console. 53. Certificate-based authentication, using digital certificates to verify device and user identity. 54. Mutual TLS, MTLS, both client and server authenticate each other using certificates. 55. Public Key Infrastructure, PKI, framework for managing digital certificates and encryption keys. 56. Service Mesh, infrastructure layer that handles secure service-to-service communication. API, gateway, entry point that manages, authenticates, and routes API traffic. 58. API security, protecting application programming interfaces from unauthorized access and abuse. 59. Secure Access Service Edge, SASC, cloud architecture, combining network security and WAN capabilities. C. Security Service Edge, SSSE, the security component of SASE, including CASB, SWG, and ZTNA. 61. Cloud Access Security Broker, CASB, security policy enforcement point between users and cloud services. Secure Web Gateway, SWG, filtering and inspecting web traffic to prevent threats. Data Loss Prevention, DLP, controls that prevent sensitive data from leaving the organization. Encryption in transit, protecting data as it moves between systems and networks. Encryption at rest, protecting data stored on disk or in databases. Data classification, categorizing data based on sensitivity to apply appropriate security controls. 67. Information rights management, IRM, controlling who can access, copy, or print sensitive documents. Attribute-based access control, ABAC, access decisions based on attributes of users' resources and environment. Role-based access control, RBAC, access permissions assigned based on a user's organizational role. 70. Policy-based access control, PBAC, access governed by organizational policies rather than static roles. Relationship-based access control, RBAC, access determined by relationships between entities. 22. Zero Trust Maturity Model, CISA, framework for measuring an organization's zero trust implementation progress. Pillar, one of the 5 core areas in the CISA Zero Trust Maturity Model. 74. Identity Pillar, Zero Trust Focus Area, covering user and entity identity verification. 75. Device Pillar, Zero Trust Focus Area, covering device security and health. 76. Network Pillar, Zero Trust Focus Area, covering network segmentation and traffic management. Application Pillar, Zero Trust Focus Area, covering application security and workload protection. 8. Data Pillar, Zero Trust Focus Area, covering data protection classification and encryption. 79. Cross-cutting capabilities, visibility analytics and automation that span all 5 Zero Trust pillars. NIST SP 800-207, the National Institute of Standards and Technology publication defining Zero Trust architecture. 81. DoD Zero Trust Strategy, Department of Defense Roadmap for implementing Zero Trust across military networks. 82. DoD Zero Trust Reference Architecture, Technical Blueprint for Zero Trust in Defense Environments. 83. Thunderdome, DISA Program implementing Zero Trust for the Department of Defense. 84. Executive Order, 028, Presidential Directive requiring federal agencies to adopt Zero Trust architecture. 85. OMB Memorandum, M2209, Federal Zero Trust Strategy requiring agencies to meet specific goals. 86. FedRAMP, Federal Program for Standardizing Security Assessment of Cloud Services. 87. Continuous Diagnostics and Mitigation, QCDM, DHS Program providing cybersecurity tools to federal agencies. 88. Network Access Control, NAC, technology that restricts network access based on device compliance. Chapter 89. 802.1x, IEEE, Standard for Port-Based Network Access Control. 90A. Network Detection and Response, NDR, tools that monitor network traffic for threats and anomalies. 91. User and Entity Behavior Analytics, UEBA, using machine learning to detect abnormal user behavior. 92. Security Orchestration, Automation and Response, SAW, automating security operations and incident response. 93. Extended Detection and Response, XDR, unified security across endpoints, network, cloud, and email. Security Information and Event Management, CM, centralized logging and correlation of security events. Telemetry, data collected from systems and devices used to assess security posture. 96. Continuous monitoring, ongoing observation of systems and users to detect threats in real time. 97. Implicit deny, default policy that blocks all access unless explicitly permitted. 98. Break glass account, emergency access account used only when normal authentication is unavailable. 99. Shadow IT, unauthorized technology used by employees outside of IT governance. 100. Zero Trust Assessment, evaluation of an organization's current state and readiness for zero trust adoption.